I'm just going to warn you. What you're about to hear is pretty graphic, so I'll try not to freak you out too much. I was very fond of Kick Buttowski, Jimmy Two Shoes, and Lab Rats, but never have I heard about this one yet. I've seen Kid vs. Cat, yes, but something about that show's final episode, The Cat Went Back, made me look at it differently. I went online to go to the Kid vs. Cat site and saw that the episode list was showing Season 3, but all they showed was Part 1 and 2 lost episodes that seemed to be cut from the series. The episode's number was Season 3, Episode 27 and Episode 28. The title was Split Personality. I had never seen Kid vs. Cat having a lost episode before, and why was it unaired? And where in the world could I get a hold of it before somebody else does? Turns out I actually know the creator of the show, Robert Boteller. He was my uncle's neighbor, and I contacted him in a bar on a Friday evening. He was a little bit drunk, so I had the opportunity to ask him about the lost episode that he had made. I asked him about it, and he was so intoxicated that he just smiled and said, You know, I was in a dark place when I made that episode. I'll be honest with you. I just don't want to see my business crumble before me. But when the IRS says you gotta go, you gotta go. I asked him if he could give me any more details about how to get the episode in my possession, and he just wrote something down on a piece of paper and handed it to me. I looked, and it was a download link, which I'll not mention due to reasonable reasons I'll explain in the end. I went home after drinking a few shots with Rob and typed the link into my laptop. As I did this, my computer went insane. It was the worst virus since the creation of technology. After doing the painstaking process of rebooting my laptop, I typed the link in my computer again, and what do you know, it finally worked. All I saw was a black screen with a wall of purple text, and under the text was a link. I clicked on it, and it was an episode of Kid vs. Cat. The episode was normal, but the title screen was a little off. It showed Coop and Cat staring at the viewer, looking upset, with eyes narrowed. But that wasn't the strange part. It showed Coop's left side and Cat's right side all together, as if it was a half-and-half portrait in a dark and light background. Of what looked like heaven and hell, I guess. And the music didn't help at all. It was a creepy song played by a violin and a piano, and Cat's side was holding a hatchet, so it looked like the two faces were on separate sides. But the line in the middle was making it look different. The show started with Cooper walking to school, all forlorn. He talks to himself, but what he says was depressing and sad. I can't take it anymore. Everything I do is wrong in their eyes. It's almost as if Bootsville hates me in general. I mean, what did I ever do to them? As Coop says this, he sees the school and glances down at his feet. I can't help it if I'm right about Cat being an evil alien. Every time I fight him, I get more and more punishments. It's almost like his life goal is to drive me up the wall. I just don't want to deal with Cat anymore. I'm done with it, and if he doesn't care I'm done with it, then I might as well pull the trigger on myself. Maybe that'll get his attention. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Coop had finally hit rock bottom. I thought that Coop had finally snapped and went into a depression. I continued to watch to see the rest of the episode. During school, Coop had gotten bullied, and Cat snuck into the school to get Coop in trouble. He wound up getting an F in every single class he had taken, and because of that, he wound up getting expelled. After school, Coop just stares at the ground in sorrow. He goes into the house to see Millie making fun of him for getting expelled from school. Shut up, Millie, he scowled. I don't want to hear your bull right now. Did Coop almost swear? Anyway, he goes upstairs and into his room. He stays quiet for the rest of the day. Kat enters the house from the back door, and Millie takes him up to her room to play. Bert calls Coop to ask him about him being expelled. He was about to tell him about Kat in school, but he just told him that he would never believe him anyway about Kat. Nobody ever did. Cooper, you know that I love you, but what you say about our cat is lies. So, everything I say, like how it's scrape a knee, is just for attention? Coop snaps. Do you have any idea how hard I've tried to protect you and this family from that purple goon? How I sacrificed my life for this town? If those were just to seek attention and make it all about myself, then you need to open your eyes. Tears are welling up in Coop's eyes. Son, Bert says, I know when you're lying to me. It's not all right to blame the cat for your mishaps. Mishaps? Mishaps? Mishaps! Coop screamed. Are you drunk? I should have gotten a humongous thank you. But no. You had to stab me in the back and force me to be broken glass. Bert began to stutter in disbelief. Force feed you? Coop, that's not what happened. We saw you hurting Mr. Cat. That's it. Now you stop yelling at me and promise you won't blame the cat for your misbehavings. So now I'm the bad guy. Coop talked back to his father. I thought you were there for me, but I was wrong. You don't care about me. You care more about that sick freak than your firstborn child. You're gonna pay for this. Coop just walked off, just like that. I paused the video and sat there, thinking, what the hell did I just watch? I just saw Coop's first argument with his own father, who scolds him for trying to stop an alien invasion. I thought Kid vs. Cat would be as everyone described it. Funny, but bipolar. But what I'm seeing right now was absolutely depressing and sad. I continued the episode, and Coop slammed the bedroom door violently. That night, he just lays in bed crying for the first time in the series. It sounded pain and really pitiful. These weren't tears of a child when he or she scrapes her knee, or getting what they wanted. They were tears of betrayal and sadness. He had his face deep in his pillow. He would have been screaming if his face wasn't buried in it. He pounded his fist into the wall as he got up, his other hand holding the pillow to his face. To be honest, I was both unnerved and I also pitied him. He didn't want to end up like this, always being treated like shit, just for being the local hero. Coop threw the pillow off his face and just sat there, breathing heavily. He was sweating and his face was red from crying. He got up out of bed and stared out the window and into the night sky. He saw millions of stars and asked the cat Nebulans from the episode The Cat Went Back, beginning to cry once more. Why? Why are you doing this to me? I'm just a boy. I just want you all to stop tormenting me. He began to whimper. Won't you look at me? I mean, really, look at me. You don't have a clue that I'm not evil. I'm just a kid who wants to live a normal life. With that said, he puts his hands over his eyes and begins to whine and cry again. This time he was crying quietly. Kat heard this on the roof and knew his plan was working. The next day, Coop was fighting Kat and was suddenly taken by Cat Commander's giant robots. Dennis tried to save him, but he was caught as well. And I can't really recall the rest because it reminded me of The Cat That Went Back Part 2. They took the two back to Cat Planet, they got in prison forever, yada yada and so forth. Like I said, I didn't really want to go into any details on this one, so let me get to where it ends. And it's by far the most shocking. As they broke out, Coop and Dennis stumble upon what is the most damning thing I've ever seen in a kid's cartoon. They went inside a lab on how to make all Cat Nebulan soldiers. What is this place, Coop? Dennis asked in terror. I don't know. Maybe this is how these evil cat creatures are generated, I guess, Coop explained. Coop looked at the robotic skeletons of cat nebulans and a glass jar of cat nebulan's skin. It looked more the light purple liquid with dark purple spots on it. Dennis clearly wanted out of this place as soon as possible. This place is giving me creeps. Let's just go. Wait, maybe there's a camera here, Coop said. If we get a photograph of this weird laboratory, maybe Boots will finally believe us. Dennis gasped. That's a good idea, Coop. But as they searched for a camera, Cat pounced on them and a fight broke out. Cat's armada and the rest of the soldiers joined the battle, but as the fight escalated, Cat grabs the jar of Cat Nebulan's skin and gets into a throwing position. Cooper, look out! Dennis called out in a panic. Cat goes to throw it, but the lid of the jar was off during the fight, with Cat bumping into the table. Cat throws the skin on the right side of Coop's face as the jar hits the wall behind him, and Coop lets out a gut-wrenching scream as his skin burned into his flesh. All the characters were backing away in shock, and so was Cat, who had finally realized what he had just done. Cooper continued to scream and writhe in pain as his skin steamed and contorted the right side of his head and upper body into what I can recall as just like the right side of Cat's head. Coop accidentally knocked himself out by ramming his head into a wall, and part 1 ends. I just sat there dumbfounded. I couldn't tell what I just saw, but I had to press on, so I watched part 2. Coop was in a hospital bed. He was gladly back on Earth with Dennis, who was unharmed. Coop had been in a coma since the incident, and Bert was there, and so was Millie. This is when things started going down. Bert was arguing with the medical professionals about something. Coop can hear them, though, through the right ear, of course. He heard his father arguing about Coop and Dennis blaming Cat again for starting a fight with gangs. You mean to tell me that my son was getting into it with some gangsters, and he blamed our Cat for it? He hollered. That's what the young aging kids told us, answered the surgeon. Bert turned to Dennis and said, I'm calling your dad, and you, Coop, when you wake up, you're grounded for a month, and I don't care if it's a month. You're not going to rebel against your own father. Coop was hearing all of this while still in his coma. Inside, he was a boiling cauldron of anger and hatred. He wanted to scream, Shut the hell up! But he couldn't. He wanted it all to soak in. After absorbing all the anger and negativity for a nice long week, the doctor was ready to remove the bandages. Alright, let's hope it's not too bad, said the doctor. The doctor snipped at the bandages with a pair of scissors and let them fall off of his face. Then Bert was in absolute shock, was on the verge of fainting, and Dennis jumped out of his chair in a mass hysteria. I couldn't tell what Coop looked like since it was all in Coop's point of view. What happened to my face? Coop asked, trying to figure out why they were suddenly panicking. Coop rushed into the bathroom and turned the lights on, and I saw it. His right side of his head and upper body. It was now just like Mr. Cat's. Coop just looked and touched his right cheek. It had a wrinkly feel to it now. Dennis put his hand on Coop's shoulder. Coop, it's not that bad. Come on, man, cheer up. Coop suddenly glances at Dennis and says in a snarling voice, Why should I be cheering? He got what he wanted. Dennis jolted back. Coop, are you... Okay? I'll be okay when I wrap my hands around that little brat's neck for bringing that psychopath into my life. Coop shakes his head and asked in his normal voice, What was that? Dennis backs away and says, Okay, that was odd. Bert sees this but pays no heed. Coop, do you know why I'm disappointed in you betraying me last night? He asked. Let me guess, I'm grounded, aren't I? Coop asked. For a month. A month? Coop gasped. Why? For snooping off in the middle of the night and leaving me to call the police for you to wind up like this. Suddenly, Coop again spoke in that grim, dark voice. Couldn't stand to bear the truth again, huh, Dad? Irresponsible little cunt. That's what you've always been. Sitting on a throne of bullshit. And wait for the right time to make my life a living hell. Wait a minute. Did I just hear him swear? You can't swear in a kid's cartoon. Anyway, after that little incident, Bert snaps at him. That's enough, Coop. I do not tolerate this kind of attitude. You're grounded. Do you understand? Fuck you, Four Eyes. That's it, Cooper. When we get home, your mouth is getting washed out with soap. Don't forget to put my dick in yours, too, while you're at it. I couldn't believe how unpredictable Cooper had become. This wasn't like him to backsass his own father like that. This was something different, but I couldn't tell what. Coop got dressed and headed home, but that night Dennis talked to him through a walkie-talkie, and Coop said in his normal voice once again, I don't know what's wrong with me. Ever since Kat threw that jar of skin on me, I've changed. You need to get to a psychiatrist. It's the only way you can figure any of this out, Dennis said. Then Cooper said in that gruesome voice once again, No, I'm in control now. Why should I give it all up? I wanted this. Dennis sat up, eyes widened. Coop, what are you talking about? Dennis asked. You'll know soon enough. The walkie-talkie had gone silent. Coop had hung it up. Bert could be seen watching TV with Millie and Kat, till Coop goes in the kitchen and comes out with 2 knives. My heart was pounding at this point. Coop! Bert yelled. I thought I told you to... Coop stabbed Bert in the gut with one of the knives, and stood there cocking his head left to right, showing him what once was a sweet innocent boy from Bootsville to the deformed ghoul that stalked the shadows. By now that song from the title card started playing again in the background. Cooper! Bert yelped in horror. Why did you do that? Why? Stop him, Daddy! Millie yelled. Bert tried to convince Coop to put down the knives. Kat could be seen cowering before Coop as he sees what he's about to do to Bert, realizing that Coop had gone insane. Kat started it! You must have known that. But obviously you ignored it. He was tearing me apart, but you ignored it. I get the pain and misery, but he gets to go free. Why? So that he would fit in? Bert started trembling and begged for his life. We were just trying to make Millie happy. Oh, Coop, please, no. Coop just creeped closer to his cowering father and waves a knife around him. That's what you always do. You always think of her. You never thought about me.
Where do I come in? When do I spend my quality time? When? I trusted you, you hear me? I'm a freak because of you. Look at me, Dad. This happened under your watch. And you call yourself a father?
I just screamed for Coop to stop. I couldn't believe this was happening right before my very eyes. Anyway, Bert's still cowering before his maniacal son, and still had the stab wound in his stomach, says to him, I was busy. I wanted to spend time with you, but please, let me get you some help. You need mental help. Coop began.
Let me give you some advice. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Coop jams a knife into Bert's chest over and over and over, till there was nothing but gore and blood forming a pool of crimson red all around him. Coop had murdered his own father in cold blood. Now I was practically screaming, "Oh my gosh, what did you do?" Millie just sat in the corner and started crying, and Kat ran upstairs and hid in Millie's closet. Kat could hear Millie's loud screams as Coop gutted hers away. All he could hear was the two yelling and screaming, Coop cursing and spitting, and Millie begging to be spared. But Millie fell on deaf ears. He could hear footsteps coming up the stairs and onto Millie's room. Kat cried and prayed obviously to God to forgive him for every sin that he had committed in the book. Then the closet door swung open and Kat screamed. And then it was nothing but a freeze frame of Kat screaming at the top of his lungs as he was about to be slaughtered. A red text box appeared that read, "No man can hide from his fears, as they are a part of him. They will always know where he is hiding." Then the episode faded to black. I was obviously angry at this. I got on my phone and demanded Rob to know what the hell was going on. But he hung up and was nowhere to be seen or heard. So I got into my car and sped to Rob's house. I banged on the door and waited for him. No response. So I kicked the door down. Stupid, but I was too much of an emotional wreck to know that those kind of things were illegal, and searched for Rob. But as I entered the office, I rushed in and found him dead. He had committed suicide with a shotgun in his mouth, blowing his brains out. Now I know why Kid vs. Kat wasn't making any more episodes. I contacted his wife, who was in the grocery store while the suicide occurred, and she said the most damning thing I'd ever heard. She told me that the lost episode actually did air, and every parent saw it, including their children. I was at a loss for words. I would never think that a kid's cartoon with lots of popularity could end a series, going down a downward spiral of madness and pain. I knew that what Coop had done in that episode. He threw it all away. The heroism, the friendship, and the many victories over an evil alien race. He threw it all away, for revenge against his former assailants. I couldn't take the pressure, so I moved out and wanted to start my life over again. Now I work in a coffee plant and get paid every day. Kid vs. Kat is now on YouTube, but I highly doubt I'm ever going to watch it, because someone might upload the lost episode on accident. You just never know what could happen if it does rear its ugly head in. You just never know.